What if one of the most useful things you could do for your muscles after 60 is hiding in the refrigerator, the freezer, or the kitchen cupboard right now? Not an expensive powder, not a complicated supplement routine, not a gym machine. Food. As we get older, keeping muscle becomes more important because muscle is tied to much more than appearance. It helps you climb stairs, carry groceries, get out of a chair, steady yourself when you turn, and remain independent in ordinary life. And yet protein often gets squeezed into one big dinner, while breakfast and afternoon snacks are built mostly around toast, crackers, biscuits, fruit, or something sweet. That matters because older adults are often advised to consume enough protein across the whole day, not simply accumulate it in one enormous meal. Protein is one of the raw materials your body uses to maintain and repair tissue, but muscles also need a reason to adapt. Resistance exercise provides that signal. So today, we are going to make the food part much easier. I have 20 high-protein treats and snacks that can fit into an ordinary kitchen. Some are creamy, some are savory, some are warm, some take less than 5 minutes. Several come from traditional food cultures that were built around simple ingredients rather than modern sports nutrition. And pay particular attention when we reach number 11, because it is one of the simplest plant foods on this entire list, yet provides a substantial amount of protein for a snack. Then wait for number 16. It starts with one of the most familiar foods in the cupboard, oats. But with two simple changes, a humble bowl becomes a much more protein-dense breakfast without losing the comfort that makes oatmeal worth returning to. You do not need to eat every snack here. You only need a small group that you genuinely enjoy and can prepare consistently. And before we get into number 1, subscribe to Healthy Rootz so you can keep building a practical food routine for healthy aging, traditional ingredients, useful plants, and everyday independence. Number 1, Greek yogurt with berries and seeds. There is something almost unfairly convenient about Greek yogurt. Open a container, add a handful of berries, sprinkle on some seeds, and you have a snack that requires no stove, no knife skills, and almost no cleanup. But its usefulness for older adults goes beyond convenience. Greek yogurt is strained, which removes some of the liquid and leaves a thicker product with a relatively concentrated amount of protein. Dairy proteins provide all the essential amino acids your body needs to build its own proteins, including the branched-chain amino acid leucine. Leucine get a lot of attention in aging research because muscle does not respond to food exactly the same way throughout life. Older muscle can require a stronger nutritional and physical signal to stimulate protein-building processes than younger muscle. That does not mean you need to become obsessed with one amino acid. It means the quality and quantity of the protein source matter. A practical serving of Greek yogurt can give you a meaningful protein contribution without being a giant meal. Then you add berries. Blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, or whatever happens to be affordable where you live. The fruit contributes carbohydrates, fiber, vitamins, minerals, and plant compounds. A spoonful of chia, ground flax, pumpkin seeds, or sunflower seeds can add texture and a little more protein and fat. There's another advantage here that is easy to overlook. A snack becomes valuable only if you actually eat it. Theoretically perfect food that sits in the refrigerator untouched is not helping your daily protein intake. Greek yogurt can be eaten plain, sweetened naturally with fruit, or turned savory with herbs and cucumber. That makes it adaptable. And adaptability is one of the secrets to creating an eating pattern you can still enjoy 6 months from now. So take a bowl of plain Greek yogurt, add a generous handful of berries, then finish it with a spoonful of your favorite seeds. No complicated recipe, just a dependable protein habit. Number 2, cottage cheese with peaches and cinnamon. Cottage cheese has been quietly doing the work for generations. It does not have the glamour of a specialty supplement or the marketing budget of a protein bar, but it delivers something older adults often need more of: an easy way to add protein without eating a huge portion of food. Its protein is largely casein, a dairy protein that digests more slowly than whey. That slower digestion can be especially interesting when you want a snack that feels substantial without becoming heavy. And this is where cottage cheese becomes surprisingly versatile. Take a bowl of cottage cheese and add sliced peaches. Fresh peaches are wonderful in season, but frozen or canned peaches can also work, depending on what is available. Add cinnamon. Now the result feels closer to dessert than diet food. That psychological difference matters. After 60, appetite can change. Meals may become smaller. Dental comfort may change. Some people simply lose interest in eating large portions. A soft protein-rich snack can be easier to finish than a large plate of meat and vegetables. And because cottage cheese is mild, you can change the flavor without changing the basic food. Peaches in summer, pears in autumn, berries when they're inexpensive, sliced banana when you want something naturally sweet, or turn it savory with tomatoes, pepper, cucumber, and herbs. The protein stays a central feature. One important distinction is worth remembering. A snack like this supports your total protein intake. It does not automatically rebuild muscle. That requires a bigger picture. Enough total food, enough protein, appropriate physical activity, adequate sleep, and attention to medical conditions that may affect nutrition. Think of cottage cheese as a dependable building block, not a miracle ingredient. And there's an easy way to make that building block work harder. Pair protein foods with the habits that make them easier to repeat. Prepare portions ahead. Keep fruit nearby. Use containers you can see when you open the refrigerator. The less effort required, the more likely the snack becomes part of normal life. Number 3. A whey and milkberry shake. There's a reason liquid protein can be useful. Some older adults struggle to eat enough simply because they do not feel hungry enough for another solid meal. A shake changes the experience. You can sip it slowly. You do not have to chew through a large portion, and you can build it from ordinary ingredients. Start with milk, yogurt, or another liquid base you tolerate well. Add whey protein. Then add berries, a banana, or another fruit. Blend. That is the entire concept. Whey is a dairy protein that is digested relatively quickly compared with casein, and it contains a substantial amount of essential amino acids. In studies of older adults, protein supplementation has been investigated, particularly when combined with resistance training. The results across studies are not identical, but the larger lesson is consistent. Protein works as part of a complete strategy, not as a replacement for activity. That makes the timing of a shake less mysterious. You do not need to chase a magical 30-minute window. You need to make it easier to consume enough protein during the day. A shake can be useful after a walk, after a resistance workout, as an afternoon snack, or simply on a day when breakfast was unusually small. And you can make it more nourishing without turning it into a milkshake. Frozen berries, half a banana, a spoonful of oats, a small amount of nut butter, plain yogurt. Those additions provide flavor, energy, fiber, or other nutrients. One thing to watch is how quickly calories can climb. A shake containing protein powder, full-fat milk, nut butter, oats, banana, honey, and several other ingredients can become an enormous drink. For someone trying to gain weight because of poor appetite, that might be useful. For someone trying to maintain weight, it may be more than necessary. This is why your snack should match your situation. Protein is important. Total nutrition still matters. And if you have significant kidney disease or another condition requiring protein restriction, your individual needs are different and should be discussed with your healthcare professional. Now I'd love to know where you are watching from. Tell me what country or region you're in, and whether foods like these are easy to find, expensive, traditionally grown, or part of your everyday cooking. Number 4. Tuna stuffed avocado. This one looks like something from a restaurant, but it is almost laughably simple. Take a ripe avocado, cut it open, scoop out a little of the flesh. Mix that with tuna, lemon juice, pepper, and perhaps chopped celery or herbs. Then spoon it right back into the avocado. That is it. Tuna supplies complete protein, while avocado contributes mostly unsaturated fat, fiber, and several vitamins and minerals. And that combination makes this snack more satisfying than a plain protein food on its own. The avocado is doing something important from a practical standpoint. It adds energy. For people who are unintentionally losing weight because appetite is low, calorie-dense foods can help create a more nourishing snack without requiring a mountain of food. The mistake would be turning that principle into the idea that everyone needs as much fat as possible. They do not. The goal is balance. Tuna can also be useful because it stores well. That makes it one of those foods that can rescue you on a day when cooking feels like too much effort. Open the can, mix, eat. But there is one reason not to make tuna your only fish. Different fish provide different nutritional profiles, and some tuna species can contain more mercury than smaller fish. That is why variety matters. Rotate tuna with salmon, sardines, trout, or other fish that fit your preferences and local guidance. The broader idea is simple. Combine a protein-rich food with a satisfying plant food. You get a snack that feels like real food rather than nutrition assignment. Number 5. Eggs with cheese and tomatoes. Eggs are one of the most practical foods in an aging kitchen. They are relatively inexpensive. They cook quickly. They keep for days. And they provide high-quality protein in a compact package. 2 hard-boiled eggs can become a snack almost anywhere. But instead of stopping there, add a small amount of cheese and a few slices of tomato. Now you have protein, calcium, fat, fluid, and the fresh acidity of the tomato. The beauty is that none of these ingredients needs an elaborate recipe. Boil several eggs at once. Store them safely in the refrigerator. When hunger arrives, peel one or two, add a slice of cheese. Add tomato, season with pepper, herbs, or a little mustard. Finished. Eggs also solve a problem that becomes more important with age. Convenience. A food that requires 20 minutes of preparation is not convenient if you are hungry right now. A food that is already cooked can be. That difference sounds trivial until you realize how often eating decisions happen under pressure. You are tired. You just came home. Lunch was small. Dinner is still 2 hours away. The refrigerator contains vegetables, raw chicken, and several ingredients that require preparation. Meanwhile, the ready-to-eat protein is missing. That is when snack quality often collapses. So do not just buy healthy ingredients. Create healthy defaults. Cook the eggs in batches. Wash the tomatoes. Portion the cheese. Put them where you can see them. Good nutrition becomes much easier when the kitchen is designed to reduce friction. Number 6. Turkey and cucumber roll-ups. This is a kind of snack that looks almost too simple to deserve attention. But simple is exactly why it belongs here. Take slices of roasted turkey. Add a thin strip of cucumber. Roll them together. You can add a little mustard, hummus, or cheese. That is a snack you can assemble in less than a minute. Turkey provides protein with relatively little carbohydrate, while cucumber contributes water and crunch. The point is not that cucumber has some secret muscle-building compound. It does not. The point is that it makes a protein food easier to enjoy. And that is an underappreciated part of nutrition. We tend to focus on nutrients as though people eat them directly. They do not. They eat sandwiches, bowls, rolls, soups, salads, snacks, and family meals. Food has to work as food. For an older adult, texture can also matter. A tough piece of meat may be difficult to chew. A roll-up made from tender turkey can be much easier. At the same time, deli meats vary dramatically. Some are heavily processed and high in sodium. Look at the ingredient list and nutrition label. When possible, choose products with a straightforward ingredient list and keep highly processed meats as an occasional food rather than the foundation of your protein intake. An even better version is leftover home-roasted turkey sliced thin and stored in the refrigerator. Now your snack is built from an ordinary family meal rather than a specialty product. And that is a theme you will see repeatedly in this list. The best snack may already be sitting in yesterday's dinner. Number 7. Skyr with walnuts and fruit. Skyr has a texture somewhere between yogurt and a soft cheese, and it has a long history in Icelandic food culture. Today you can find it in many supermarkets, usually in individual portions. Its appeal is obvious. It is thick. It is satisfying. And many versions provide a high amount of protein relative to their size. Add walnuts. Then add fruit. Walnuts bring unsaturated fats, fiber, and some plant omega-3 in the form of alpha-linolenic acid. But let's keep the science in perspective. Omega-3 fats are important nutrients, but they should not be described as a guaranteed muscle-building treatment. Trials and reviews of omega-3 supplementation in older adults have produced mixed results, and recent evidence suggests any effect on muscle strength is small while effects on muscle mass and function are less clear. So the reason to add walnuts is not because they magically switch on muscle growth. It is because they make the snack nutritionally broader. Protein from Skyr, fat and fiber from walnuts, micronutrients and plant compounds from fruit. That is a much better way to think about food. You are not looking for one hero ingredient. You are building a supportive pattern. And this snack can travel across seasons. Apple and walnut, pear and walnut, berries and walnut, peach and walnut. You can even make it savory with cucumber, dill, and pepper. If you cannot find Skyr, use Greek yogurt. The goal is not to find the perfect brand. The goal is a protein-rich dairy food you enjoy enough to eat regularly. Number 8. Chicken salad lettuce cups. There is a useful lesson hidden inside a chicken salad. The protein does not need to arrive as a giant chicken breast on a plate. It can be transformed. Shred cooked chicken. Mix it with Greek yogurt instead of relying entirely on mayonnaise. Add celery, herbs, pepper, and lemon. Then spoon it into lettuce leaves. Now you have a crisp, soft, refreshing snack that feels completely different from leftover chicken. Chicken provides a dense source of high-quality protein. Greek yogurt adds additional protein and creates a creamy texture. Lettuce contributes freshness and volume. This combination can also be adjusted to your appetite. A smaller snack might be 2 lettuce cups. A larger one could become lunch with extra vegetables and a piece of whole grain toast. That flexibility matters because hunger is not identical every day. Some mornings you may want a full breakfast. Other days you may be satisfied with yogurt and fruit. A rigid eating schedule can make healthy eating harder. A flexible menu of protein-rich options makes it easier. Chicken salad is also a good example of why leftovers matter. Cook extra chicken at dinner. Cool it promptly. Store it safely. The next day, you have a protein-rich ingredient ready to become a snack. The best kitchen strategy is often not cooking more. It is cooking once and using the food twice. And by the time you reach this point in the list, you may already be seeing a pattern. Protein does not have to mean steak. It does not have to mean a shake. It does not have to mean a special diet. It can be traditional dairy, eggs, poultry, fish, soy, a handful of foods that humans have been eating for generations. If you're finding useful ideas here, save this video or share it with someone who is trying to keep cooking and eating well as they get older. A good food idea is much more valuable when it actually gets used. Number 9. Smoked salmon with yogurt-dill dip. Smoked salmon brings a very different kind of flavor to this list. It is rich, salty, savory, and because salmon is an oily fish, it naturally contains EPA and DHA, the marine forms of omega-3 fatty acids. It also provides complete protein. Take thin slices of smoked salmon and serve them with a small bowl of Greek yogurt mixed with dill, lemon, pepper, and perhaps a little mustard. Now you have a protein-rich snack that looks special enough for a gathering, but takes only a few minutes to assemble. The yogurt is doing more than providing a dip. It adds additional protein and softens the intensity of the smoked fish. That makes the whole plate more approachable. There's another practical lesson here. Strong flavors can make smaller portions satisfying. You do not necessarily need a huge quantity when the food has contrast. Salty salmon, cool yogurt, bright lemon, fresh dill, crunchy cucumber, if you want it. A few bites can feel complete. One caution is sodium. Smoked fish can be quite salty. That does not make it forbidden, but it means portion and overall dietary pattern matter, particularly for people who have been advised to restrict sodium. So think of smoked salmon as one option in a rotation, not the only fish you ever eat. And remember the central principle. The snack supports your protein intake. It does not replace medical care. It does not cure sarcopenia. It does not make resistance exercise unnecessary. It simply gives you an easier way to provide your body with protein and other nutrients. Number 10. Cottage cheese with fruit and pumpkin seeds. We are returning to cottage cheese, but this time with a different combination. Try berries, sliced pear, or apple, then add a tablespoon of pumpkin seeds. The result is creamy, sweet, crunchy, and satisfying. Pumpkin seeds also contribute protein, magnesium, zinc, and unsaturated fat. Again, none of these nutrients should be treated like a magic switch. What matters is the total pattern. Older adults can be vulnerable to undernutrition when appetite falls, chewing becomes harder, or meals become smaller. That means a snack needs to do more than fill time between meals. It should contribute something meaningful. Cottage cheese gives you protein. Fruit adds carbohydrate, fiber, and micronutrients. Pumpkin seeds add texture, minerals, and additional protein. That is a useful combination. And there's an easy way to make it more substantial. If you're recovering from illness or unintentionally losing weight, you might add a little extra seed or a spoonful of nut butter. If you're trying to keep calories modest, use fruit for volume and a smaller amount of seeds. This is why there is no single perfect portion for everyone. The same snack can be adjusted to fit different needs. Now, here's something else worth remembering. Healthy aging is not about making every food choice perfectly optimized. It is about having enough good choices that an imperfect day does not become a completely unhelpful day. Maybe breakfast was toast. Fine. Add a protein-rich snack later. Maybe lunch was light. Fine. Make the afternoon snack more substantial. You are building an average pattern, not try to pass a nutrition exam. Number 11. Edamame with sesame and sea salt. Here's the plant food I promised you. Edamame is simply young soybeans. And soy is unusual among plant foods because it provides all 9 essential amino acids. That makes it a particularly useful plant protein source. This is also where the old idea that plant-based eating can never provide meaningful protein needs some nuance. Plant foods differ. Some are relatively low in protein. Some are richer. Soy foods such as edamame and tofu can make a substantial contribution, and they are incredibly practical. Frozen edamame can sit in the freezer for months. Steam it. Microwave it according to the package instructions. Then add sesame seeds and a small amount of sea salt. You can eat the beans directly from pod or by shelled edamame for an even easier snack. The flavor is gentle enough to combine with many cuisines. Add chili, add garlic, add lemon, toss it with herbs. Serve it warm, serve it chilled, turn it into a salad. The important point is not that edamame is superior to animal protein. The point is that it gives you another tool. If you're bored with eggs, chicken, and yogurt, a soy-based snack changes the rotation. And a broader rotation can make it easier to eat enough protein without feeling like you're eating the same meal every day. Soy also brings other components, including isoflavones, which have been studied for possible effects on bone and cardiovascular health. But again, we should distinguish research interest from guaranteed outcomes. A food is valuable without needing to be a cure. That is a philosophy of this entire list. Use foods for what they reliably provide: protein, fiber, micronutrients, energy, enjoyment, convenience, and let the overall pattern do the heavy lifting. Number 12. Shrimp with tomato herb dip. Shrimp is almost entirely about efficiency. You can keep cooked frozen shrimp in the freezer, thaw what you need, serve it cold, and suddenly you have a high-protein snack with almost no work. Pair it with a dip made from chopped tomatoes, lemon, herbs, and a little Greek yogurt. You can make the dip thick enough to scoop with the shrimp. This is especially useful on hot days when you do not want to turn on the stove. Shrimp also provides vitamin B12 and selenium. Vitamin B12 deserves special attention in older adults, not because shrimp is a treatment, but because absorption of B12 from food can become less efficient with age for some people. Certain medications and digestive conditions can also affect B12 status. That is one reason a varied diet and appropriate medical testing matter. Food is not always enough to correct a deficiency. Sometimes a clinician needs to identify the problem and recommend supplementation. That does not make the food unimportant. It makes the food one part of the larger picture. And shrimp gives you another advantage. Texture. It is tender, easy to chew, and naturally flavorful. That can make it practical for people who find dense meats less appealing. Use a simple dip rather than a sugary bottled sauce. Fresh tomato, lemon, parsley, Greek yogurt, black pepper, maybe a little garlic. You end up with a snack that feels fresh rather than heavy. Number 13. Egg and cottage cheese breakfast bites. These are what happens when you take two ordinary refrigerator staples and make them grab and go. Whisk eggs, stir in cottage cheese, add spinach, chopped peppers, herbs, and a little shredded cheese. Pour the mixture into a muffin pan. Bake until set. Now you have small savory protein bites that can be refrigerated and reheated. The cottage cheese makes them moist. The eggs provide high-quality protein. The vegetables bring flavor, color, fiber, and micronutrients. And because they are already portioned, they work well as a snack. 2 or 3 pieces can become breakfast. 1 or 2 can become an afternoon bridge between lunch and dinner. This is also a useful strategy when appetite is unpredictable. A giant omelet may look like too much food. 1 small egg bite may not. Then, if you are hungry, you can have another. That is a much more forgiving approach to eating. You are not forcing a large portion. You are giving yourself an easy entry point. Protein distribution throughout the day has been studied in older adults, and there is ongoing discussion about how best to divide total protein intake across meals. But you do not need to become obsessed with an exact schedule. A reasonable practical goal is to avoid letting the entire day's protein intake accumulate at dinner simply, because that is when the largest meal happens. These breakfast bites make that easier. They put protein into the morning. And morning protein can be especially useful when breakfast is otherwise dominated by refined grains. Try them with spinach and herbs 1 week, mushrooms and onion the next, tomato and basil after that. Same basic structure, different flavor. Number 14. Sardines on whole grain crackers. Sardines are one of those foods that people often either love immediately or need time to appreciate. But nutritionally, they deserve a place in the conversation about practical protein. Sardines provide complete protein. They are naturally rich in omega-3 fatty acids. And canned sardines with edible bones can contribute calcium. That combination makes them unusually nutrient-dense for such a small food. Mash the sardines with mustard and lemon. Spread the mixture on whole grain crackers. Add chopped parsley, cucumber, or tomato if you like. Now you have a snack that is substantial enough to become a light meal. The whole grain cracker is useful here because it adds carbohydrate and fiber, turning the fish into something more balanced and satisfying. You could also put the sardines on toasted rye, a slice of whole grain bread, or directly into lettuce leaves. The Mediterranean and coastal food traditions that use small, oily fish offer an important lesson. You do not always need expensive cuts of meat or premium supplements to eat well. Some of the most nutrient-dense foods are humble: canned fish, beans, eggs, oats, yogurt, seeds. These foods are not trendy. That may be precisely why they are so useful. One caution with canned fish is sodium. Check the label if that is a concern for you. And if you dislike sardines, do not force yourself. Try canned salmon or another fish you enjoy. The best healthy food is still the food you will actually eat. Number 15. Leftover roast chicken or turkey snack plate. This may be the least glamorous item on the list, and it may be one of the most useful. After cooking a roast chicken or turkey, do not put every leftover portion into one giant container. Slice them the meat while it is convenient. Portion it. Refrigerate it safely. Now you have several future snacks waiting for you. A few slices of roast chicken, a little fruit, some cucumber, a handful of whole grain crackers, maybe a spoonful of hummus, and you have a miniature meal. This strategy matters because the barrier to eating protein is often not knowledge. It is effort. You already know chicken contains protein. You know you should probably eat enough. The problem is that when you are hungry, the chicken is sitting in a container requiring preparation, while something else is ready immediately. So prepare the protein when you have energy. Use it later when you do not. This is especially useful for anyone living alone, anyone with a busy caregiving schedule, or anyone whose appetite comes and goes. You can also freeze portions if you know you will not use them promptly. And there's a psychological benefit. You open a refrigerator and see a ready-made option. The decision has already been made. That reduces food fatigue. It also reduces the temptation to rely entirely on packaged snacks. Again, none of this is glamorous. But healthy aging does not need to be glamorous. It needs to be sustainable. And there is one snack still coming that takes the same philosophy and applies it to perhaps the most familiar comfort food on this entire list. Number 16. Protein oatmeal with milk and whey. This is the bowl I especially want you to remember, because oatmeal has been a staple food for a very long time for good reason. It is affordable, it stores well, it cooks easily, and it is comforting. But ordinary oatmeal can be relatively modest in protein, compared with a breakfast built around eggs, yogurt, or another concentrated protein food. The solution does not require abandoning oatmeal. You simply change the base. Cook your oats with milk instead of water. Then, once the oatmeal has cooled slightly, stir in whey protein. Add berries. Add a few walnuts or seeds. Now the bowl has a dramatically higher protein content than plain oatmeal, while keeping the same familiar texture. This is exactly the kind of food strategy that can help an older adult who does not want to eat a separate high-protein meal. The protein becomes part of the food they already like. And oats bring something valuable of their own. They contain beta-glucan, a type of soluble fiber associated with heart health benefits, particularly in the context of an overall healthy diet. So you are not adding protein to an empty carbohydrate. You are combining a whole grain with a concentrated protein source. That distinction is important. Try cinnamon and blueberries. Try apple and walnuts. Try banana and peanut butter if the calories fit your needs. Try pumpkin seeds and chopped pear. You can even make the oatmeal savory with an egg, herbs, spinach, and grated cheese. The sweet version is probably easier for most people to imagine, but savory oatmeal can be surprisingly good. And this is where the idea of traditional food becomes useful. You do not always need a new food. You often need a new way of combining an old one. Oats have been around for generations. Milk has been around for generations. Protein powder is the modern part. Use a simple ingredient list. Stir in after cooking. And remember that protein powder is a convenience food, not a requirement. If you prefer milk and Greek yogurt stirred into oatmeal, that can work too. If you prefer eggs on the side, that works. The goal is simply to make breakfast contribute more protein than a bowl of plain oats would. Number 17. Crispy tofu with sesame dipping sauce. Tofu has another advantage that makes it particularly useful after 60. It is soft. It can be seasoned in almost any direction. And firm tofu provides a substantial amount of protein in a relatively compact serving. To make it snack-worthy, press the tofu, cut it into cubes, and cook it until the outside becomes crisp. Then make a dipping sauce with soy sauce, rice vinegar, sesame oil, garlic, and perhaps a little ginger. That is enough to turn plain tofu into something you actually look forward to eating. Tofu is made from soybeans, so like edamame, it provides a complete plant protein. That makes it especially valuable for people who want to reduce their reliance on meat without reducing their protein intake. And here is another reason it deserves a place in a plant-focused kitchen. It takes on flavor. A person who says they do not like tofu may have encountered tofu that was under-seasoned, wet, or poorly cooked. Crisp it, marinate it, add herbs, use a strong dipping sauce. The experience changes. Traditional East Asian cuisines developed countless ways of preparing soy foods precisely because versatility makes a staple food sustainable. You do not need to copy one exact recipe. Use tofu in a way that fits your own cooking. You can make it Mediterranean with lemon and herbs, spicy with chili and garlic, savory with mushrooms, or simple with sesame and green onion. The important part is that tofu becomes another reliable protein source in the rotation, not a substitute that has to prove itself. Just food. Number 18. Greek yogurt chia pudding. Chia seeds have a long history in Mesoamerican food traditions. Today they are often associated with trendy breakfast jars, but the basic idea is much older. Soak the seeds in liquid. They absorb it and form a thick gel. Then combine that gel with Greek yogurt. Now you have a creamy snack with protein from a yogurt, fiber from a chia, and a pleasant pudding-like texture. The chia also provides alpha-linolenic acid, the plant form of omega-3 fatty acid. But it is important not to exaggerate what that means. Your body converts only a portion of alpha-linolenic acid into the longer-chain omega-3s found in fish. So chia should not be described as nutritionally identical to salmon or sardines. Its real value is broader. Protein-rich yogurt, fiber-rich chia, fruit if you add it, a snack that can be prepared ahead. That combination is useful, and preparation ahead is the hidden advantage. Make 3 jars. Put them in the refrigerator. Add berries when you are ready to eat. Now breakfast or snack is waiting for you. This can be particularly useful for people who do not want to cook every morning. You can also adjust the texture. More milk for a softer pudding, less milk for a thicker one, a little cinnamon, vanilla, unsweetened cocoa, mashed banana. The possibilities are almost endless. One practical caution is that chia absorbs a lot of liquid. Use enough liquid and let it hydrate fully. That makes it easier to eat. And start with an amount that suits your digestive comfort, especially if your diet is not usually high in fiber. The larger lesson is that texture can transform nutrition. A seed, a dairy food, some fruit, and suddenly you have a dessert-like snack that contributes meaningful protein. Number 19. Ricotta with berries and cinnamon. Ricotta is another example of a traditional food becoming an easy modern snack. It has been made in Italian culinary traditions from Whey, giving the leftover liquid from cheese making another purpose. That kind of kitchen practicality is worth paying attention to. Waste less. Use what is available. Create another food from what already exists. Ricotta is soft and mild, which can make it appealing when tougher protein foods are not. Spoon it into a bowl. Add berries. Sprinkle with cinnamon. Maybe add chopped pistachios or walnuts. And suddenly you have something that feels like dessert. This is important because food enjoyment should not disappear from healthy aging. A nutritious snack that you genuinely look forward to is more useful than a perfect snack that feels like punishment. Ricotta is also flexible. You can make it sweet. You can make it savory. Mix it with herbs and pepper. Spread it on whole grain toast. Add roasted vegetables. Use it as a filling for a wrap. And because it is soft, it can work well for people who prefer tender foods. The protein content varies depending on the style and brand, so check the label. That is one theme worth carrying into every dairy food on this list. Do not assume every yogurt, cheese, or milk product has the same protein content. Compare labels. Look at the serving size. Then choose based on your needs. That small habit turns vague nutrition advice into something concrete. And we have arrived at number 20. Number 20. A carefully chosen high-protein snack bar. This is the emergency option. The one that lives in the bag, the desk drawer, the cupboard, the car, depending on storage instructions. And the reason it belongs on this list is not because bars are better than real food. They are not. It is because real life occasionally falls apart. You leave the house unexpectedly. Lunch gets delayed. An appointment runs long. You are traveling. The healthy snack you plan never gets made. That is where a good protein bar can be useful. But you have to read the label. Look at the amount of protein. Look at the sugar. Look at the ingredients. Look at the serving size. And ask what kind of protein is actually being used. Whey, milk protein, soy, or blends of plant proteins can all contribute useful protein. Do not assume that the biggest number printed on the front tells you everything. Some bars are essentially candy with added protein. Others are legitimate convenience foods. There is nothing wrong with convenience. In fact, convenience can be protective when it prevents you from skipping food entirely. But convenience should not become an excuse to ignore the rest of the diet. If a bar becomes your breakfast every day, your diet may become less varied. If it is an emergency option 2 or 3 times a week, it may be perfectly reasonable. That distinction matters. And here is another useful trick. Do not only compare bars against one another. Compare the bar against the alternative. What happens on a day when you do not carry the bar? Maybe you skip the snack. Maybe you become so hungry that dinner is rushed. Maybe you reach for sweets. If the bar consistently prevents those situations, then it is doing something valuable. Not because it is magical, because it is available. That is the real reason number 20 belongs here. Availability changes behavior, and behavior repeated over months matters more than one theoretically perfect food eaten once. So now we have 20 different options. 20 ways to make protein easier to include without turning your kitchen into a laboratory. But there is one thing I want to make clear before we finish. These snacks do not exist in isolation. Muscle responds to more than protein. Resistance exercise is one of the strongest signals you can give your muscles to maintain and improve their capacity. That might mean lifting weights. It might mean resistance bands. It might mean carefully selected bodyweight exercises. It might mean supervised exercise with professional when balance, joint problems, or another medical issue makes certain movements difficult. The right level depends on the person, but the principle is simple. Food provides material. Movement provides a reason for the body to use that material. That is why the most useful strategy is not to become obsessed with one superfood. It is to build a system. A protein-rich breakfast, a practical protein snack, a balanced lunch, another protein-rich meal later, and some form of appropriate resistance activity. Then repeat. There's also something comforting about how ordinary most of these foods are. Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, eggs, chicken, oats, soybeans, tofu, fish, milk, seeds. These are not exotic discoveries. They are foods that have been prepared in different forms by families for generations. And perhaps that is exactly what makes them useful. You can buy a supplement and forget about it. You can try a complicated diet for 2 weeks and abandon it. But a bowl of yogurt with berries can become breakfast for 5 years. An egg can become an afternoon snack. A handful of edamame can live in the freezer. Roast chicken can become tomorrow's lunch. Oatmeal can become a dependable morning ritual. Those are the habits that quietly add up. And one more point matters. More protein is not automatically better for everyone. Your needs depend on body size, activity level, total food intake, kidney function, health conditions, medications, and other factors. Some older adults need more protein than the traditional minimum. Others may have a medical reason to follow a specific protein plan. So use these ideas as food options, not as a prescription. And if you have chronic kidney disease, significant heart failure, a swallowing disorder, a history of unintended weight loss, or another condition that affects what you can safely eat, discuss your individual needs with your healthcare professional or a registered dietitian. The goal is not to eat perfectly. The goal is to make the next good choice easier. Maybe that means putting Greek yogurt at eye level in the refrigerator. Maybe it means boiling 6 eggs on Sunday. Maybe it means freezing portions of cooked chicken. Maybe it means keeping edamame in the freezer. Maybe it means making 2 jars of chia pudding. Maybe it means finally trying sardines. And maybe it means turning your morning oatmeal into a meal that actually contributes meaningful protein. That is the idea I want you to take away. Muscle health after 60 is not solved by one miracle food. It is supported by a pattern, adequate protein, enough overall nourishment, regular movement, resistance exercise when appropriate, recovery, and meals and snacks that are realistic enough to repeat. You do not need 20 snacks every day. You need a handful you enjoy. Pick 3 or 4 from this list. Rotate them. Keep the ingredients available. Make the preparation easy. Then build from there. Because aging well is not about trying to become the person you were at 30. It is about protecting the strength you need for the life you have now. The strength to carry the groceries. The strength to stand up without using your hands. The strength to work in the garden. The strength to walk farther. The strength to travel. The strength to keep doing ordinary things without constantly wondering whether your body can handle them. Food is one part of that story, and small choices repeated often can become a very big part. So whether your kitchen is filled with Mediterranean ingredients, Asian staples, North American comfort foods, or mixture traditions from around the world, there's room for protein-rich snacks that are simple, satisfying, and practical. Start with the foods you already like. Improve the protein content. Make them easier to reach. And let consistency do the rest. If this video gave you an idea you can use this week, please like it, comment with a snack you are most likely to make, and subscribe to Healthy Roots for more practical food, traditional ingredients, useful plants, and healthy aging ideas.